You check the time, put your phone back on the desk, and return to what you were doing. Less than a minute later, your hand reaches for it again. No buzz, no banner, no missed call. You unlock it anyway, swipe through a couple of apps, find nothing important, and set it down. Then, almost embarrassingly, it happens again. The strange part isn't that your phone interrupted you. It didn't. Nothing called for your attention. Your hand moved first, and only afterward did your mind seem to catch up. And for a split second, you realize you don't even know what you were looking for. The oddest part is how automatic it feels. Sometimes you unlock the screen and pause because you can't even remember what you meant to check. Maybe you were bored for 2 seconds. Maybe the task in front of you got slightly frustrating. Maybe you were waiting for someone to reply. Then the phone gives you a tiny sense of relief, the feeling that there might be something new, easier, or more interesting waiting on the other side of the screen. And that raises a surprisingly simple question. If nothing on the phone asked for your attention, what exactly were you responding to? Why does your hand move before you've consciously decided to check anything? And why does the urge feel so normal that you barely notice it happening? The easiest explanation is that you're just addicted to your phone, or that your attention span is ruined, or that you simply lack self-control. And those ideas can sound convincing because the behavior does look compulsive from the outside. But they still miss something important. Sometimes the phone isn't pulling you in at all. No alert appears. No app asks for anything. The check begins inside you. Maybe you're not checking because something happened. Maybe you're checking because something might have happened. A message could be waiting. Someone might have replied. Something new might have appeared. The reward isn't always the notification itself, it can be the possibility of one. And once your brain starts linking small moments of boredom, uncertainty, or friction with that possibility, the check can begin before you consciously decide to make it. So the real question becomes, how does a maybe turn into a habit? So how does a maybe become a habit? To answer that, we need to look at what starts these checks, which everyday moments reinforce them, why silencing notifications doesn't always stop them, and what it takes to turn the check back into a conscious choice. Researchers have a name for this: spontaneous smartphone checking, looking at your phone without a notification and without a clear goal. In one real-world study tracking 1,130 smartphone interactions, 89% were started by users themselves, not by notifications. The phone doesn't always have to interrupt you. Over time, your own internal cues can learn to do the job. This is where reward learning matters. Dopamine is involved in learning which cues predict rewards. But it's too simplistic to call every phone check a dopamine hit. What matters here is expectation. A message might be waiting. A new post might be interesting. Something might have changed. Think of your phone as a maybe machine. Most checks give you nothing special. But every time you reach for it, there's a possibility that this check will be different. And once boredom, uncertainty, or task friction becomes linked with that possibility, maybe can become enough to make your hand move. And once maybe becomes enough, the trigger doesn't have to be a notification. It can be a moment. The first is the empty second. You're waiting for coffee, standing in an elevator, sitting at a red light, or watching someone step away for a minute. Nothing is wrong. There's simply nothing happening, and your hand reaches for the phone to fill the gap. The second is friction. You're writing, reading, studying, or working through something difficult. The moment the task becomes slightly boring or mentally demanding, the phone appears. Not because you decided to take a break, but because your brain has learned that one tap can offer something easier. The third is social uncertainty. You sent a message. You're waiting for a reply. You posted something and wonder if anyone reacted. The phone becomes a way to check whether the uncertainty has changed. And the fourth is transition. You finish one task, but haven't started the next. You close a document, leave a meeting, finish eating, or sit down in the car. Before the next activity begins, you check. These moments look unrelated, but they share one thing: a tiny opening. Boredom, effort, uncertainty, or transition creates a brief gap, and the maybe machine offers an immediate way to fill it. That's why the number of hours you spend on your phone may not tell the whole story. Sometimes the more revealing question is how often you reach for it before you've even decided why. What stands out to me is that the biggest problem may not be how many hours we spend on our phones. It may be how quickly the phone shows up in moments that used to belong to something else: thinking, waiting, noticing, even just being bored for a few seconds. Intentional use is one thing. Reflexive checking is different. The important distinction is whether you chose to open the phone or whether the moment chose for you. Before we go further, think about the last time you checked your phone without a notification. What came right before it? Boredom, frustration, waiting, or uncertainty? Hold on to that moment. Because the important question isn't what app you opened, it's what feeling the phone interrupted. Here's the paradox. We often reach for the phone to make a small, uncomfortable moment easier. A boring pause, a difficult sentence, a reply that hasn't arrived yet. And in the short term, it works. The check gives your attention somewhere to go. But when that escape happens over and over, it may leave fewer of those tiny gaps untouched. You may switch away before boredom has a chance to deepen into thought, before frustration has a chance to turn into problem solving, before waiting simply becomes waiting. The phone fills the gap so efficiently that you may start treating the gap itself as something that needs filling. That's why just turn off your notifications is only a partial solution. Fewer alerts can reduce external interruptions, but they don't erase the checking habit. In a 2022 study of iPhone users, silent mode was associated with more frequent checking, especially among people higher in fear of missing out and need to belong. The study was correlational, so it doesn't prove silence caused the behavior, but it points to the deeper issue. Once the cue lives inside you, removing the sound doesn't remove the urge. The real target is the cue to check loop. So the goal isn't to use your phone as little as possible, it's to make the check intentional again. Start by catching the cue. The next time your hand moves toward the phone, ask what happened 1 second earlier. Were you bored? Stuck? Waiting? Anxious? You're not trying to stop the urge yet. You're learning what activates it. Then add a tiny bit of friction. Put the phone just out of reach. Leave it face down. Before unlocking, ask, what am I opening this for? That one question can interrupt the automatic sequence long enough for choice to come back online. Next, let some empty moments stay empty. You don't have to turn every pause into productivity. Stand in line without filling the gap. Finish a task and wait 10 seconds before reaching for another source of stimulation. Let boredom exist without immediately solving it. Finally, separate using your phone from checking your phone. Opening a map, answering a message, or calling someone has a purpose. Opening 5 apps because something might be there is different. What you're rebuilding is not distance from your phone, but choice over when your attention moves. Picture the same moment from the beginning. Your phone is sitting on the desk. The urge shows up, and your hand starts to move. But this time, there's a brief pause before you unlock it. Just enough time to ask, what am I actually looking for? The maybe machine hasn't changed. There still might be a message, a new post, or something interesting waiting inside. What changes is whether maybe gets automatic access to your attention. That small pause matters because modern attention isn't only stolen by notifications. Sometimes we interrupt ourselves in anticipation of an interruption that never happened. And the more often we notice that moment, the easier it becomes to separate curiosity from compulsion. You'll still check your phone. The difference is remembering that your attention belongs to you before it belongs to whatever might be waiting on the screen. Which trigger gets you most often? The empty second, task friction, social uncertainty, or the transition between activities? Tell me in the comments. And if you know someone who checks their phone while insisting they weren't checking anything, send this to them. If you like breaking down the hidden psychology behind everyday behavior, subscribe for more.